Okay. Do it right now. Okay. So,
Okay.
Tselmeg, would you turn up your screen now? I mean, turn up your PowerPoint now. Let me introduce you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it right now. Mike, please.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Good evening, Asia. It's Friday once again. And last week, ABF online session took us to Costa Rica. This week, we come to Asia and we're going to the most exotic location for me, Mongolia. Let's ask our friend, Tselmeg Tumendelger of Tum-Eco Tour, to show us what they have in Mongolia. What are the birds? What are the mammals? Everything we wanted to know about Mongolia. Are you ready, Tselmeg?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's start now.
Okay. So I'm gonna talk about Mongolia, and it is quite famous for, the bird watching tours are famous for about quality wins over quantity. Okay, so I'm gonna start with where is Mongolia. So basically, Mongolia is located in between Russia and China. It's a landlocked country, actually the largest landlocked country in the world. And it's only 50 kilometers away from Kazakhstan. It doesn't border with Kazakhstan. So in order to get to Mongolia, you have to fly to China, South Korea, Japan, Russia, and yeah, basically those are the countries you pass by to get to Mongolia. And Mongolia is very famous for one thing in the whole world, which is the Genghis Khan. And he's the founder of the great emperor, and his grandchild Ogode made his empire the largest empire ever built in the world during 13th century, and it was about 33 million square kilometers. Anyway, there's one issue about finding Mongolia, which is there's another region called Inner Mongolia, which is part of China actually, and people confuse Inner Mongolia with Outer Mongolia. So I just wanted to explain about it. So Mongolia land is about 1.5 million square kilometers in total now, and it's around equivalent to Western and Central Europe, and it's 18th largest country in the world. But Mongolia has only 3.3 million people, which makes it the least densely populated country in the whole world. And surprisingly, half of that 3.3 million people lives in one city here. This is called Ulaanbaatar, and it's right around here, if you see my cursor over here. And the other half of the people lives in the countryside, and about 20% of the people lives in small towns or small cities. The rest lives in this kind of countryside, this traditional dwelling we call it ger. And Mongolia doesn't always be beautiful. It becomes we have 4 seasons. We're not a tropical country, so we have winter, spring, summer, and autumn. And Mongolian basic natural formations are like this. Basically it blends from green to yellow from north to south. Basically, it's quite tidy. And the temperatures about during the summer is for us is from between June and September, and during this time on the northern side it's around 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, and on the southern side in the Gobby area, the desert area, it gets 40 to 50 sometimes, and during the winter it's about minus 20 to 30 degrees and on the northern side it's about 30 to 40 degrees. So it's the percentage gap between the hottest or coldest temperatures are quite high, and actually Ulaanbaatar city is the world's most coldest capital in the world. So there are about 5 mountain ranges. One is Mongol Altai mountain range here, or one of the most famous one, and the Gobby Altai, the continuous little bit lower regions are here, and the central area has Hangai mountain range. On the most northern area we have Husud mountain range, and here we have Hinti mountain range. So except these mountain ranges, all the areas are just mostly vast, hillside areas, and especially around here, these areas are completely, vast plain steppe area. There are 3 major flyways pass through Mongolia out of 8 of the world, and on the western side we have West Asian or East African flyway, and about the half we have Central Asian flyway, and the other half we have, oh sorry, it's written wrong, the Australasian flyway. So BirdLife International has identified about 70 important bird areas in Mongolia, and all are spread throughout the whole country. And mostly, in order to see them, you can just visit, the central areas here. Well, if you really want to see some specific, special species, then you can visit the other areas, but that doesn't really necessary, because, most of the time, all the birds who are especially around here mostly migrate through Gobby. So during May or June, or during September, August, you can see those birds while during their migration in the Gobby area. So, and also, Mongolian land is quite big. So in order to visit all these places, you're gonna need a lot of time. For example, maybe 4 or 5 weeks to finish all these areas. And so as you can see, northern areas green, southern areas are all desert area, and it is just because of all the moisture comes from south is blocked by Himalaya, so therefore these deserts are formed. And from the north, the Arctic, we have just a few moisture from the Arctic, so this is how it is. And basically our as our capital city locates in this northern central area, we always start our birding area from the north, and in the north we mostly have Siberian larch and Siberian pine or Scotch pine trees in these areas. And basically you will see this kind of forests in the northern hillside of the mountains, but on the southern side there's no hill, because the trees doesn't survive, but grass. And in this habitat we see Siberian jay, tits. The most interesting tits are Siberian tit here, because this area is actually the southernmost edge of Siberian boreal forest. And we have hazel grouse, black grouse, Siberian ruby throat, and quite a lot of species of woodpeckers. And among them, the most interesting one is this one, the three-toed woodpecker. Oops, sorry. Let's see now. Yeah. Can you hear the sound?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So we have oral owl, boreal owl in those forests. And if you go more northern to the edge of the Mongolia northern edge, you will see a white-tailed eagle, and Chinese bush warbler is also among the most interesting birds for UK bird watchers. And we have some thrushes, you know, red-throated thrush, Nauman's fieldfare, and also we have black-billed capercaillie. This is one of the highlights, and this is the female one, and you can see also the calling. It rarely sits on this top of the tree, but this time we were very lucky, so it sat on the top of the tree and we could see whole body. And
wow.
You know, the world famous yellow-breasted bunting. There you can see this. Actually, you can see this bunting in the middle of Ulaanbaatar city, but it's not common. But there are some certain areas you can see. And meanwhile, you can also enjoy some mammals such as Siberian chipmunk, long-tailed ground squirrel, red squirrel, and also, you know, brown bear, Dorian pika, and Arctic hare. And the one on the bottom here is the Asian badger. Okay, so we start from here to go to the north, and then we go back to Ulaanbaatar city, and then we head west for more interesting birds. So the habitats we will pass through will become more wide and plain areas. Okay, and one of the highlight birds are Darwin partridge, obviously, and the Altes snowcock. This one lives in the most highest altitude mountains, such as like 2,800 or not below 2,500. And mute swan is one of the main highlights. And swan geese, there are some areas also in Ulaanbaatar for swan geese to breed. And white-naped crane, common cranes, and demersal cranes are everywhere. And great bustard, they also breed in the central area, a little bit to the north. And Pacific golden flower, Asian dowitchers, and relict gull is also one of the big highlight for the western birders. And as for, you know, Mongolian land is quite vast, very, you know, least densely populated country. So there are not many people living around there. So, you know, the whole country has a lot of small rodents. So therefore, the raptors are everywhere. And amber falcon is one of the highlights. Sacred falcon is Mongolian national bird. And we have also azure tit and white crowned pendulum tit. Mongolian lark, this is also quite very common. And Fiji tips, Eversman's redstart, white-winged redstart, sometimes called golden star's redstart, and Hodgson's or bushchat or white-throated bushchat. These are all highlighted birds. And we have some Dorian hedgehog in the central area. Siberian mammoth is almost everywhere. Some locals still eating it and still getting some disease from it. Red foxes everywhere, but for Cossack foxes only live in the plain area, steppe area. And we have some steppe polecats. And the highlight of the mammals in the central area is Pallas cat, obviously. And where the isn't it cute? And also this one. Four cups.
Lovely.
Some of them even has 5 cups. Yeah. And it was about 700 meters away. We recorded this video using telescope with the digiscope on the phone. Actually, Pascats are like throughout the whole country of Mongolia, but only the problem is you have to find it. They're everywhere, but you can't find it. They're very good at hiding, very good at camouflaging. So now I'd like to talk about the most western part of Mongolia, which is more high in altitudes. And these lakes are in the area called Great Lakes Depression. And around here, all these mountains are one of the highest peaks of Mongolia, which is about 4.3 thousand meters. And Mongolia overall, the average altitude is about 1.5 thousand meters. And on the most western Mongolia has this kind of places, and it's very far where you need to fly, or you need to drive for at least 30 hours to get there. So, and since all the birds, all the animals here, you can see them from different places, much closer places. So we don't really plan visiting these places, but it's a very beautiful landscape. And on the Western Mongolia, one of the main highlights are Dalmatian pelicans. And these guys, rosy starling, oops, and Asian rosy finch, and of course snow leopards. These are all in the almost in the all Altai mountains, Mongol Altai and Gobby Altai mountains. And for Siberian ibexes and argalis, wild chicks, they are main food for leopards, so they have to be there. And one of the main interesting mammals are the saigas. Here, yeah, these are very good at smelling. You can, they can smell miles away from you. And I heard they are one of the survived animals from the ice age, so they're quite old ones. And on the eastern side of Mongolia, it's almost all plain areas, but it's very good. It's all grassy areas, so it's one of the main habitat for Mongolian gazelles. And it's actually the largest unfenced land for hoofed animals, hoofed wildlife animals. So this area has just very tall grasses, and the birds are Japanese quail, the main interesting bird, and also cranes. There are not only white-naped common and desert cranes are there, but also Siberian cranes are there. And just recently, there was one Mongolian bird photographer who photographed this black-necked crane there, and this was one of his first ever record in Mongolia. And yeah, Mongolian gazelles are everywhere around there. And the main predator to them is, of course, the gray wolf. And they are also quite common. Basically, gray wolves are very common in Mongolia. And so the last habitat is the place where I was born. My parents were born. It's the Gobby. And we have many different kinds of landscapes there. Some of them, these areas are very famous for finding the first egg fossils of dinosaurs with the embryo in it during 1920s, and it became very famous. And also we have these sand dunes, but we have also oases next to it, so you can see 3 different colors here. There's no, there should be one mountain behind it. I couldn't find the photo. So that's gonna be blue and yellow, and then grass and green. So it's very nice, happy place. Many tourists, visit these places, and these are the one of the biggest national park. This is in Gobby Bear National Park, and we are having picnic here. And this is one of the very famous valleys as well. This is called Yolo Valley, and in this valley you can see dozens of new, bird species in just 3 hours of walk. And so one of the main gobby birds are McQueen's bustards. Used to be called Hobara bustard, but I guess it's now McQueen's and Oriental plover. This one is one of the most farthest migrating bird. It comes from Australia and breeds in Mongolia and in Gobby area. And greater sand plover also breeds in Gobby. And Eurasian eagle owl. It's basically everywhere in Mongolia. Yeah, and Mongolia has a lot of raptors like these guys. And Mongolian Grand Jay, one of my favorite birds. It's just because it's very interesting. It's in the same family with ravens, but it's also very colorful and it calls very nicely. And the main one thing that really like about this bird is it has very good memory. Mongolian Gobby people call this bird a tree planting bird because this guy collects all the seeds from the tree and because it has very hard shell outside, it buries about 3,000 seeds in every autumn, and then in the spring after the shell had cracked from the inside, it digs all those buried seeds and find them back. So in order to find them back, he has to have a very good memory. So just imagine he has to find at least the half of the 3,000 buried seeds. And Asian desert warbler, this is one of the main highlights in gobby birds. And as you can notice, like most of the Mongolian birds are just brownish. And also this wall creeper can be found in very big cliffs and rocky areas of the mountain range. And this bird is Mongolian accenter, used to be called Kozlov's accenter as well. And this is considered as almost only the endemic bird of Mongolia, which is very interesting. And we have Siberian accenter here, and also Saxel sparrow, and beautiful rose finch, Mongolian finch, and lammergeier. Yeah. And also one of the main difference between the other countries lammergeier is as Mongolian overall altitude is quite high, you can always see lammergeier quite close to you, like just a few hundred or just dozens of meters away. And one of the highlights, Pallas sandgrouse. As you know, these guys also collect the waters in their chest fur and carries them away to their babies. Barred warbler, one of the angry-faced guy. My dad called that. And we have very interesting small mammals in the Gobby area. This is Jerboa, and this one specific one is five-toed Pygmy Jerboa, and this one goes like jumping like a kangaroo. And actually Mongolia has 12 species of jerboas, but 10 of them is all in Gobby area. And we all have also this Balikun jerboa, and among them the most interesting one is this one, long-eared jerboa. Look at the size of the ears, it's like almost the same as the head, and it only lives in very bare plantless area. And we think it's just because it's mostly based fed on insects, but other jerboas mostly fed on plants. So in order to find the insects, he has to go into plantless area to hear the insects more clearly, I guess. And we have also long-eared hedgehogs. This is very small in size, if you relate it to the other hedgehogs. And we have marble polecat. This was a very lucky sighting of this polecat during the morning. It was about 9:30 a.m. and we were just birding. Didn't expect this one. You know, as polecats always, they don't have any one single burrow. They just use the other small rodents burrows for their den. So it's quite hard to find them, especially this marble polecat. And we have goited gazelle, the most beautiful shaped gazelle in Mongolia. And also, again, Siberian ibex and argali in mountainous areas. And if you go to most southwestern part of Mongolia, you will see the wild Bactrian camel, and there are about 3,000 of them in the wild. And there are many conservation efforts are going on there. And we have also Gobby Bear, which is actually the subspecies of brown bear, but sometimes nowadays scientists are believe that this is different, separate species because it's much smaller in size, and also it lives only in Gobi. And we could manage this video in last May. No, I mean the May of 2019. Yeah. And again, we have snow leopards there in Gobi as well. It gives us very good opportunity to see the leopards during the summer, which is about 30-40 degrees, and you can see them just lying down on the base of the rock. And basically, this is the central area of Mongolia, and this is how we drive through. And these brown lines are dirt roads, and these blue lines are tarmac roads. So almost half the route is on dirt road, but we have very good vehicles. It's all Toyota Land Cruisers or Lexus 470s. So they are best in Mongolian land. And just because we have just a few people and there are not many tourists visiting these countries, there are not many travel lodges or tourist camps in some of these areas, especially to the western area. So in order to travel through this area, we have to camp in the tents. And this is our dining tent, and in the back, this is our kitchen tent. We prepare our food here, and we serve the food here. And this is quite large tent that almost 10 adults can stand tall without bending their heads. And this is a two-man, tent. We serve, we provide all these gears in, camping areas. We have this. This is a our toilet tent, and there's another separate tent for shower. So this is completely eco tour. So we don't leave anything except the call the chuck thing. I just forgot. And this is the cars we use. This is very good cars with very good professional drivers. And during the other times, we just have our customers in hotel like this or their camp like this. Most of Mongolian tourist gear camps have these Mongolian traditional dwellings, and inside there's many decors and many different kinds of beds and tables and etc., which is very useful, but all simple, still enough for your use. And this is the dining area of the camp that is close to these Hongor sand dunes. Okay, so basically this is it, and thank you for watching. And I just wanted to share you one of the videos we have captured. Actually, my father captured in last February, sorry. So enjoy. Oops. Sorry, it's stucking a bit. I'm gonna. Sorry, it's a bit loading. I think I will be able to share this on different window. Okay. Can you see it now? Okay.
Wow, it's amazing.
Thank you. So, do you have any questions? Hey, Rajendra, how are you?
Okay.
Oh, there are a lot of people in there. Hi, guys.
Okay, if you want to ask questions, just unmute yourself. William.
William.
I just joined 5 minutes ago. Can you start over?
Okay.
You watch our, Asian Birthday YouTube channel. You can watch it again.
I'll watch it again later.
Yeah. So, what's your question?
Thank you.
Sorry?
You had a question, right?
About the leopard.
Yeah, how far away from the leopard are you when you're filming that? Because it looks like you're quite close, but I guess the zoom lens is amazing.
No, actually, it was filmed by my father, and he was about the first one. The father one was about 150 meters.
Oh, wow.
And then the next one was about 70 meters.
Wow,
But if you have Yeah, if you have noticed the eye at the end, almost the end
Yes.
of the presentation, that was about 20 meters away. Yeah.
My God, really amazing.
Yeah. We just found this site in one of the mountains that is just about 70 kilometers away from my father's place in Gobby. So I think in the future that's going to be quite one of the reliable sites for us for snow leopard watching trips. Yeah. So did you enjoy the presentation?
Wonderful.
I think everyone is amazed. No one is asking questions.
I hope so.
Yeah, my friend Key from Korea, he said that Mongolia seems that the whole country is a national park.
Well, actually, about around 1990, Mongolian, governors kind of tried to make it like 100% national park, but actually, we have to face the fact that we have so many financial problem, and in order to suffice, the supply that we have to, do some minings and stuff. So for now, it's about 11 to 13% of the whole land is national park, and there are about 38 national parks in Mongolia. And the Gobby National Park, where the leopard was just you just watched, that's the one of the biggest, largest national parks of Mongolia.
And you've shown so many good photos of birds like grouse, like Raptors. And what's the best season to visit Mongolia?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot to talk about that. Yeah, the best season for watching, what all those birds is about the late April till mid-June, or August, September, and October.
Okay. What about December? Is December all right?
Well, about 80% of all Mongolian 513 species of birds are migratory birds. So if you come to Mongolia in December, you will see just a handful of birds, and that's it. The resident birds. And also it's going to be quite cold. For example, it gets -20 during the day. So nowadays, no bird watchers wants to visit Mongolia during winter. But if you are looking for snow leopard during this snowy time, then December is also a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, and what's the difference between Inner Mongolia and Mongolia?
Well, Inner Mongolia is. Sorry.
Regarding bird watching, what's the difference?
Well, I'm not really sure about Inner Mongolia, but for example, if you visit the Gobby area, as you know, the water is quite sparse. So there's just a few plantation sites, or just a few parks in the city center, or just a few, springs and oases. So in order to see all those migratory birds, you can just visit those areas to see all those birds, instead of, going to forest and looking for birds walking around in the forest and spending a lot of time. And also, the migratory birds will be in the much more open space when you see them in the Gobby area during their migration. The difference between inner and outer Mongolia, it's if you visit, wild bird watching, you can also enjoy the wildlife. For example, the snow leopard, marble polecat, argalis, ibexes, etc., and also the gazelles, and those are quite close together in certain area.
Okay. Mark of Malaysia was asking about the different raptor species in Mongolia. How many species do you have?
Raptors?
Yeah.
Raptors. I didn't count raptor species. Let me. Well, there are quite a lot actually. If I name them, for example, I can count them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 species.
Okay. Which are the more unusual ones, sir?
Well, many people likes to see sacred falcon and obviously bearded vulture. You know, the lammergeier from quite close distance, and also what else? The golden eagle, amur falcon, and yeah, those are the highlights. The upland buzzard, steppe eagle, and those are just, you know, you don't actually target the raptors except the eagle, and those are in quite small areas, small habitat. The others are quite common all around Mongolia. So while you are targeting other birds or mammals, you would just see them.
So reasonably, how many days do you need to visit most of the birds? I mean, if
Well,
you,
in our birding trip, it takes around 2 to 3 weeks, and on our record, in 2 weeks you can see about 210 or 220, you know, species of birds in total, and that includes all those like capercaillie, relict gull, pallas sandgrouse, Mongolian ground jay, saxel sparrow, etc.
so if people want to visit Mongolia, how do they contact you?
Well, there's no direct flight to Mongolia except from China, Russia, Japan, South Korea, and now Mongolian capital has building the new international airport on the southern side of the mountain, and that's about 40 kilometers away from the capital city, and many people are expecting, you know, more direct flights, especially from Europe or other countries. And many Asian countries tried direct flights before, like for example from Singapore and Malaysia, I guess. Yeah, and but you know, in order to get to Mongolia, you have to get to those countries that I just named before, and then take another flight to Mongolia.
Hey, could you share your email address with us?
Yeah, sure. It's let me show you. Um, I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
On the bottom, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oops.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rajendra,
Rajendra, yes.
Sorry?
Rajendra.
Where is Rajendra?
Unmute.
I think Rajendra is muted. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Hey, hello everyone. I just joined last minute, so I was able to enjoy your snow leopards clip. So thank you very much. So
okay, thank you.
I just wanted to know whether you were able to declare your national bird.
That's departure.
Sorry, national bird of the Mongolia. Were you able to declare the national bird of Mongolia?
National birds.
National bird.
Yeah.
National birds.
National bird. It's the sacred falcon.
Okay.
You declare, right?
Sacred falcon. Yeah.
The second question is, if people wanted to visit the breeding ground of steppe eagle and demersal crane, how many days, or how far, or what sort of with the physical level do they need it?
Well, those are actually very easy to see birds in Mongolia, especially demersal crane is almost, during their migration, it's all around Mongolia. But if you want to see the breeding, then they will be on the northern side of Mongolia. So you can get to the Great Lakes Depression by flying from Ulaanbaatar to the most western part of Mongolia, and from there you can drive on the dirt roads to get to the breeding sites. And for well, depending on how much time you want to spend there. If you want to spend just 1 day or two, it's gonna be about 5-6 days in total. Or if you want to, just see them more in more longer period of time, then obviously it's gonna be longer. But for the steppe eagle, also, the breeding sites will be, everywhere in all around Mongolia. So you might just ask one of the local herdsmen and ask if there's any eagle nesting area. You might find one.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, Juan Obando.
Good morning.
Yes,
good morning from Colombia. I know right now in Asia you're in the evening. So I'm very happy to see you, everyone.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Everyone here in this meeting. And I have two questions. The first one is, how difficult is to find the snow leopard? How many days you have to spend to find it? And the second question is, could you remember me, please, the name of your endemic bird?
It's well, I'm gonna start with the endemic bird. It's Mongolian accenter. It used to be called Kozlov's accenter, but on the books and other areas, it's also said it can be seen in China, but not sure. It's just people always say it's the only endemic bird in Mongolia. So, but on the book it says it can be also found from China, but maybe the Chinese area is quite small or hard to find. I'm not sure about that. Yeah. The other question is the snow leopard. That's if you really, in order to make it more increase the chances of seeing the leopard, we plan more than a week. If you are not targeting any other species of bird or mammal, but anyway, you will see other mammals as well. For example, Pal's cat, Siberian ibex, argali, beech marten, steppe polecat, etc., and also small rodents such as Darien and Pallas picas. And so you have to drive or fly from Ulaanbaatar city to the Gobby area, which is the area we do to show the snow leopard. But other companies or other people do it in more western area of Mongolia, and it also takes quite a lot of driving and stuff. And also, the mountains are quite big, but the snow leopard numbers are also more there. But Gobby area, if you go to Gobby area, you won't sacrifice other mammals such as like that I told you just before, and also other birding areas. If you go to Gobby area, that's close to other such as Yolo Valley, one of the main target areas to see many species of birds. So yeah, and it starts with a week, and then it can be extended to 2 or 3 weeks depending on what other species you want to see. Yeah, and from Ulaanbaatar, Yeah, to get to the Gobby area, you can drive about 8 to 9 hours in all, totally tarmac road, and then get to the snow leopard area. You will drive another 2 hours to get there. And there's temporary camp there. We build the camp using traditional dwelling called gers in the closer areas during the summer, and then during the winter we take them back.
Thank you.
No worries.
Any more questions?
Hi, Tselmeg. Thank you for
Hey.
the presentation.
No worries. Thank you for joining us.
So apart from the mythical leopard, I wanted to ask about for us, we've heard the equally iconic wild horses.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
I read have become rare and hard. Has that been part of any of the tours?
Well, yeah, actually, wild horses, the Przewalski horses are very, very easy to see. It's just like, domestic horse. It's in one of the national parks that is about 110 kilometers away from Ulaanbaatar city. And out of 110 kilometers, 100 kilometers is all tarmac road. So it's very easy to get there. And you can, while you're enjoying Przewalski horse, you will see also roe deer, red deer, Siberian marmot, Darwin partridge. If you go, do some spotlighting during the night by getting some permission from the authorities and do that, you might also see steppe polecat and Siberian jerboa as well. So it's a good area, and and also my dad is negotiating with those conservation people to find another place to relocate them again, to make another separate population, to conserve more, because they are now kind of facing a problem to keep so many numbers of horses there in small national parks. So yeah, so maybe the next relocation might be in the Gobby area as well.
Thank you. Not as rare as we've read then.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay, so there's another question on Facebook. Mr. Miss Masaiko Yamamoto is asking, is August a good season for snow leopard and other animals?
Yeah, August is good because especially mid-August is pretty good in Gobby area, because during the most of the daytime snow leopards fall asleep, and it's quite hard to see them when it's very hot during the summer. But in mid-August it gets a little bit cooler, and sometimes the rain is much cooler. So snow leopards tend to lie down in an open area on top of the rock or some place that is open, and so you can easily see them while they're sleeping on top of the rock.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions?
No more.
Okay.
One last question, if
Okay.
it's possible. Yeah. Yes. I remember another very important question in this moment, and it's how's the coronavirus situation right now in Mongolia? What are the government doing to prepare the tourism situation after coronavirus?
Well, as for now, Mongolia has closed all the borders with all the countries, and now we are bringing only our nationals to Mongolia. No one's going out, but all the people who has coronavirus is in the lockdown or in the care, and it's completely monitored, completely how should I say, kept. So there's no, under control. So there's no single person in the public has disease without knowing it, and so people in the country are feeling very safe. But obviously, the government is still closing its border until further notification. So for now, we are just seeing what the other countries are doing for battle the virus. Meanwhile, we are just keeping our people safe in the country. So, and hopefully, we are our prime minister is kind of waiting for the vaccination or some kind of drugs to kill the virus. So until that, I'm afraid the tourism won't be that active. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hey, Anil, the question?
Anil, unmute.
Okay, right. So go ahead, Anil. Yoo-hoo, Anil. Okay.
I think there's been just a little bit delay. Hey.
So yeah, what's your question?
Oh, me?
Yeah. I saw you raise your hand.
No, the famous question. How much?
Well, yeah, that's a question that has to be answered. From 2 to 3 weeks, it starts from 3,500-600 to 4,500, depending on your interests. For example, if you want to see Gobby Bear and wild camel, wild birding, then it's gonna cost quite a lot because their habitat is very far, and in order to get there, we have to drive a lot. But if you choose, some very specific but very closer targets, then it will be much cheaper. So depending on your request. So it's just because we 100% organize tailor-made trips, so that's why the prices are very,
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah, so, you want to have a luxurious trip, it will cost you a lot more.
Yeah. So if you're going to look for the snow leopard, probably gonna see birds on the way, right?
Yeah. Also, you can mix it up. You can we can organize 2-week snow leopard and birding trip as well. So half the trip, 1 week could be spent on snow leopard and other mammals and birds in those habitat, and also we can use with other lakes and other ponds and to see more birds. So that kind of trip, during that kind of trip, you see, around 30 species of mammals and 150 or 170 species of birds in 2 weeks.
So, okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
There's I've seen movies and some stories telling that you really have to climb up to the mountains to see the leopard. Is that true?
Well, in there main 2 areas to see the snow leopards. One is people are going far west in Mongol Altai Mountain to see the leopards, but we are going to the south to Gobby region, and the Gobby Mountains are around 2,500 meters high in altitude. So the exact walking requires you about it takes about 200-300 meters of walking. It's a little bit steep, but not very high steep. You don't need any tools to hike up, but it's not climbing. You're just hiking up straight. So the altitude difference is about 30 to 40 meters that you walk, so it's not that bad. Yeah, but there's no certain path or certain track or anything. So because the leopard's location could be anywhere, and depending on the location you just found, you have to walk the most safest path. So all the tracks you walk is just there's no pack and tracks or anything. You just walk on the natural, little bit loose rock soils.
Oh, okay. Wow. I love it. Hopefully we can visit Mongolia.
Yeah, the only thing is we have to beat the virus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Asian bird here in Mongolia.
Sorry?
So thank you,
Asian
Tselmeg.
bird here in Mongolia.
Yes.
Well,
everyone-
we're
Thank you so
We're-
much for
Yes.
answering.
One last thing to do before we let Tselmeg go. Just take a group photo.
Oh yeah.
Okay? So everybody look at the camera and smile and don't move. Okay? Ready? Richard, daughter, Richard. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks to me again.
Thank you everyone for joining me.
ABF in Mongolia.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah,
So see
in
you
the near
guys next
future,
week.
hopefully.
Next week, our session will be on the Philippines, and our speaker is here with us tonight, Mark Villa.
Mhm.
We'll see you again next Friday.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Take care.
Good morning,
Bye-bye.
Good
Thank you
afternoon,
very
and
much.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.